I hope that the press will give me a chance to get things moving pretty well and get things underway before they form any particular judgment one way or the other. I anticipate really that the newspapers will and most of the press will give me a fair shake at the matter. I do know this, that before I left the office in 1966, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram editorialized for me very nicely, and so did two radio stations in connection with the work that I did during the last 2 or 3 months of my tenure in office. They said it was unusual for a DA to keep on working even though he was going out of office.
In 1968, when you were running for the Democratic County chairmanship here in Tarrant County, you said that you thought that the law firm of Herman, or rather Brown, Herman, Scott, and Dean was fighting to defeat you. What do you feel, what kind of support do you expect from the so-called 7th Street lawyers and so forth?
You'd be surprised. I have the support of a good many 7th Street lawyers. But of course, if some people choose to disagree with me, why, I can't help it. And some of the so-called 7th Street lawyers and some members of that firm, I think, would probably not be extremely pleased to see me DA or anything else.
You got this appointment as directly from the governor. Had you talked to Mr. Coffey about possibly going back into office? Did Mr. Coffey mention your name to the governor?
I have no idea what Mr. Coffey told the governor.
Why did you accept the appointment?
For several reasons. One of the important reasons being that I enjoy serving in public office. And another is that I believe that I can do a very good job. I think I did a good job before, and I'd like to see if I can do a better job this time.
Does this mean that you will run for election when your term, when the 11 months are up?
No, it doesn't mean anything except that I want a chance to work with the office again, and that matter will have to be reserved until the proper time.
Just out of curiosity, how do you feel about the death penalty?
Well, the death penalty, inasmuch as it's not being enforced by the higher courts, is certainly close to being useless as a prosecution weapon these days. However, in some of the very serious types of crimes, it is possible, but not very well substantiated facts, that it might serve some useful purpose in society.
Can you envision a case in which you would seek the death penalty?
Well, I have achieved the death penalty on a number of occasions, and almost anybody can envision a case, even though they're against the death penalty on principle. But the thing about the death penalty now is that if a case stays in court for possibly 3, 4, 5, or 6 years, while the man remains on the death cell, first of all, he's getting some pretty severe punishment sitting in that death cell on death row. But also, if he gets a new trial, then it very likely will not go back to the commutation of sentence, but rather back to a new trial. And by that time, very often the witnesses who testified against him might be deceased, or perhaps the evidence lost.
Jail riots and prisoner discomforts have been in the news of late. How do you feel, and the relationship between the jail operation and the district attorney's office, what do you see as the role of the district attorney as far as prisoners in county jails are concerned?
Of course, I think the role of the DA is to cooperate with the sheriff's office and any other penal institution in every way they possibly can. It's more or less out of the realm of the DA's office. There may be some parts of the criminal processes, or the procedures in processing criminals, in which the DA might be of some additional help. For instance, speedier trials for those who want them. An awful lot of people don't want speedy trials. Even though the Constitution guarantees it, that's not quite what they're after. They'd rather not be tried.
Yeah. Mr. Coffey, in his resignation, said he hadn't made up his mind where he will go into law practice. Is there a possibility that Crouch and Pringle here could become Coffey and Pringle?
I don't foresee it. Mr. Coffey, I've heard, has some offers, and he has told the news media that, and he has told me that personally, but he apparently hasn't made up his mind. He has had no offer from this law firm.
Would you, if he approached you to join this law firm, would you have any objections?
Well, I would never have any objections to Mr. Coffey on anything, because I think he's a fine man, and I think he's been a very fine district attorney. Tarrant County, I believe, has a wonderful DA's office, and has a DA's office that's been administered not only with an eye toward obtaining the prosecution of the criminals, but trying to get the justice of the case.
Thank you, Mr. Crouch.
Well, thank you.